Hello everybody and welcome to your next C# XNA tutorial. So in this tutorial we're going to be learning about how to handle loading maps. So just like the SFML Made Easy series and the C++ Lego HD series, I'm going to be splitting this up into 4 or 5 videos. No, 4 videos on how to actually load the map, like how to load the map, starting from easy all the way to advanced ways on how to load the map. And the last one will be teaching you additional things to do with the maps, like loading on the fly, etc., etc. And then after that we'll learn about gravity, and then we'll learn how to export our files, and that should be it for this tutorial series. So, anyways, let us get into our code. So what we want to do is you can add this map.cs to the code from the last tutorial. I just didn't want to have all the different class files and stuff like that. I just want to make it smaller so I didn't confuse you guys. But you can add this map code to the last tutorial. Everything should work smoothly. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a map class.map.cs, okay, and we're gonna make this public, and we're gonna have 3 variables, okay. One for the dimensions to know how wide and how long our map is. We need a map, and I'll make this. Our map dimensions are gonna be 10 by 10, but we want to make it bigger than it's going to be, just in case you want to increase it or whatever. If you increase the map size or whatever, you don't want to get any errors. So we'll set it to 100 by 100. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make an integer called line index. And in our map constructor, we just set the line index to 0. So in our load content method, what we're going to do is that we take in the parameters a string called file name. Okay, so the file name is going to be the map file that we're actually loading from, since we're loading maps from external text files. So we need to make 2 variables, and you can put these outside of the load content method if you want. It's up to you. But one is line and one is line array. Okay, so the line is going to get a line within our text file, and the line array is going to split up our lines in our text file to in order for us to get the individual values. So what you want to do is you want to add in using system IO, and add in these 2 things right here, and then IO stands for input output. And if you haven't learned about file stream readers or anything about file streams or anything, then I suggest you can look into that more if you really don't understand what's going on in this video. So what we do is you set line equal to reader.readLine. So the way our map file is laid out, we put in the dimensions of our map file, and then we have our map right here. So what we're gonna do is that we want to get the dimensions first. So we get line.reader.readLine. We take a line array and we split up the line based on the spaces. Okay, so you want to split them up, and then we set our dimensions equal to the split up values. So dimensions is equal to new vector2 int parse, so we'll change it from a string to an integer. And we set our first number equal to the x value of the dimensions, and our second number equal to the y value of our dimensions. Now note that if you by accident have an extra space there or whatever at the end of it, it's going to count that as an extra space at the end of your file. And you don't want that. We want to trim the end of every single line that we get. So what we want to do is that when we read the line, what we want to do is we'll put trim end, and we'll just put the spaces right there. So what that will do is it'll trim any trailing spaces, etc., etc. So once we get that, we get our dimensions, etc., etc. And so then now we get into loading our map. So one thing we want to do is that we're still going to be using the same stream reader, but we're going to be using the using statement. And what we do when we're using the using statement, it means that we're using this reader. And when it reaches the end of the using statement, then it will close all the file streams or anything relating to that file. So it handles that for us, so you don't have to close it by ourselves, right? So once we get when we're using the reader, what we want to do is we want to loop until we reach the end of the file. So we do not reader dot end of stream. We use a while loop to loop through that, and then we do line equals reader dot read line. So we're gonna get the line again, and again we want to trim the end and just trim the spaces, trailing spaces, and we're gonna use a line array again to split the line. Okay, and we're gonna split it into spaces. Okay, so now this is the part that I hope doesn't confuse you, but it should be relatively easy. So we're going to be looping through every single index within our line array. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be getting these values, and then we're going to be taking each individual value and storing it within our map. So what we're going to do is that our map is 10 by 10, okay? So what we want to do is that this is going to represent the line number, and this is going to represent the index within the line, or yeah, the row number. So this will be column number and row number. And if you want to interchange them, then it's always possible. You could set this to say I dot and line index, but if you change them, then the way you draw it will be different as well, and I'll show you that at the end of it. So this is going to be represent the column number, and this is going to represent the row number, okay? And then we're going to say it's equal to int parse dot line array, etc., etc. So what we're doing is storing each individual line within our map array. And then after each loop through that, then we increase line index by 1, and then after it loops through the whole file, then everything is going to be stored within our map array. So as for a draw method, what we're going to do is we're going to create two for loops. Our for loop is going to go to the dimension x, so how wide the map is, and then how long the map is. And then what we're going to be doing is that we're going to say that if our map file at index ij is equal to 1, that means we're going to draw a texture, and if it's 0, then we're not going to draw anything. So basically all we're going to be seeing is this bottom line right here within our map file, okay? So if it is equal to 1, then we do spraybatch.draw, and we're going to take in a map texture in our parameter. So we're going to draw the map texture, and then we're going to draw it at the position j times map texture dot width and I times map texture dot height, and then we're drawing it color white. Now you might be saying, okay, wait. Doesn't j go to the dimension y and I calculates the dimension x? Well, the reason why we're doing is kind of inverted is because it's the way that we load in our files. Think about it this way. For this first line right here, remember that the left index is representing the column number, and the right index is representing the row number. Okay, so at first when we set line index is equal to 0. So 0 is going to be this number, 1 is going to be this number, 2, 3, 4, etc., etc. So these are the row numbers. Then when line index increases by 1, then it's going to be saying it's going to be loaded into map 10, map 11, map 12, map 13, etc., etc., and so on and so forth. So the reason is, so we loaded in that way, so therefore j is representing the row numbers and I is representing the column numbers. So when we're loading it this way, we have to say we're drawing it at the column number. The width is based on the column number, so we say we're saying the row number times the width of each texture times and then for the y coordinate we say the column number times the map texture dot height. So therefore it will draw our map right. If we change those values, then our map won't be drawn right, it'll be drawn sideways, I believe. So if you run this, you just see like a line right here, and I'll show you how we set it up in the main the game1.cs and how to add the text file, etc., etc. But just to show you how to, if it makes more sense to have it like this represents the row number and this represents the column number, then you can always switch these and set this to I and line index right there, and then all you have to do is just set this to I and j, and if we run this program, everything will remain the same. Okay, So as for adding in the text file, okay, one thing you need to I'm going to kind of move this view to over here. So as you can see, we have our map1.txt, our text file right there. So what we want to do, if you want to add a text file, you right click your project name, go to add and new item. Okay, and then what you're going to want to do is that you're going to want to search for text file, and then you want to name your text file down here, and then click add. Okay, so once you do that, your text file name is going to be added right here. So I name my map1.txt. So what you're going to want to do is right click and go to properties. And when you see it says copy to input, you want to change that to copy if newer. If you don't change that to copy if newer, then it's not going to detect it properly, and therefore it's kind of changes how it reads it in, and therefore you won't run into any errors or whatever. If you don't do that, then it's going to say it can't find the file name. It's going to be in the debug folder or something like that. But if you do copy if newer, then you won't run into problems. So then so we got our file name in there, we got our map file in there. So now all we have to do is load everything in and set everything up. So what we want to do is that we have our texture, our map texture, and we create our map instance. And for our map texture, we just load in the sprite one that we've used for previous tutorials. It's just a square box, and we go map.load content, and we put in the file name we're loading in, so map.txt. Note that it's not like loading in other things. Like when we're loading in textures and stuff, we don't put in the extension, but since we're loading in our own custom made file format, we have to put in the type of extension, because for all I know, it could be map1.cme or anything. When it comes to doing the content.load, when you're loading in from the XNA content, it changes it to, I believe, an XNB format, and therefore it knows what file format it is. Okay, for this, it won't know what file format it is, so we have to specify it in there. So as for the draw, all we do between sprite batch begin and sprite batch end, we do map.draw, put in our sprite batch, and we put in the texture we're going to draw. If the index equals 1, and therefore you get your map. So that is it for this tutorial. Sorry for being so long, but that is it. Hope you enjoyed it, and bye.